Welcome to Ryan's Random Podcasts. Recently I've had a lot of guests between my girlfriend and one of my best buddies come on the show, but tonight I am going back to a solo podcast, so I hope you do enjoy it. We are going to talk about something a little more serious today. Usually I'm joking around on these podcasts, but CNN recently put out a big story about the title. Again, this is from CNN.com. The title was 6 Women, 3 Nursing Homes, and the Man Accused of Rape and Abuse. This sincerely bothered me reading about this. The story is about a man, Luis Gomez, I believe is his name, who had a history. I'm not going to read the whole story, to you guys, but he basically had a history of sexually abusing or assaulting women in these homes. And they ranged from, I think I read, they were around that 60-year mark, give or take a few or more years. But some things I read in here truly bothered me. Basically, this happened in North Carolina, Waynesville, North Carolina, where the woman, I'll actually read what she said here. I had been attacked. This is a quote. Attacked by a man sexually. She says that she was lying in her bed, fully dressed in high-heeled boots, and, quote, I was cornered between a closet and a bathroom, me with one arm. I couldn't breathe. Just reading that disgusts me beyond belief. Somebody, first of all, that, imagine you had family in a nursing home where somebody working there sexually, I don't care if it's any abuse, sexually, physically, emotionally, verbally, any of that would disgust me. You have these people that you put your life in their hands, and this is what's going on in the background. I'm not saying this goes on everywhere, but I think that we're not dumb. We know that this goes on some places. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And this lady came out with the story. Basically, the police didn't really know if they should believe her, and at first they really didn't. She thought that, anything she said, they could dismiss these stories. And it says in the article here, they could, it could be tempting to dismiss the story as a drug-induced hallucination, or the confusion, and this is a direct quote from CNN, or the confusion of a stroke survivor. And how true is that? I think that's something we don't talk about enough. People in this world that get put into homes or get put into somewhere, they're typically elderly people who can't really take care of themselves or might not have the family that want to take care of them, or mentally ill, people with dementia, people that have, lost touch with the reality. And we are supposed to trust in these institutions to watch over and care for our loved ones or for sick people that need help. So a story like this completely tears me apart. It does. If you are in a state of mind where, I don't know what the laws are and how many years of jail you get, but if you're a person who abuses an elderly man or woman, first of all, go to hell. I hope you do. And you honestly should be given the death penalty. It's so disgusting. People are so absolutely fucking disgusting. Now, the nursing center called the Bryan Center Health and Rehab said that basically this went under the bridge at first, like nothing happened. And that, these centers were probably trying to cover their own asses. and it's really disgusting. Like, I could give a fuck about your reputation. I know business-wise you do, but how do you not have a fucking heart to immediately make this complaint, have the police investigate it, put this man on leave the first time you heard about anything? And then there's some other things in the article. I'm not just talking about this article directly, but the article brought up the ideas that we do a background check on these people, and sometimes these, in a nursing home, for example, sometimes if you had complaints against you, the only way that it would be flagged and shown to the next employer is if they are substantiated. I don't know if that's every state, but that's what this article was talking about. And if that's the case, most of these claims aren't substantiated and they don't get included. So if that's the case, I mean, what does it take to get substantiated? It says it takes a great deal. So I can have elderly women in multiple homes complaining about abuse, or elderly men complaining about abuse, sexual at that, and they can keep getting jobs because they won't be substantiated claims potentially. Absolutely disgusting. And, they talk about this asshole from Waynesville, and he did this multiple times where people have complained multiple times. I don't know what happened to him. I don't care what happened to him. But it's a true disgusting act. There's actual evil in this world. There is. And CNN went off on this whole article, just talking about it. And, these things happen. This is, not as disgusting, maybe, because there wasn't actual... I mean, I don't think that there was physical... You know what? It's still disgusting regardless. But there was an article recently about a nurse that twerked on a 100-year-old patient and offered to show, quote, new things. Now, this lady's name was Brittany Fultz, in case you want to look it up. But there's a video about her, and there's a video on what happened. Somebody actually taped this. She's seen grinding on the man, twerking towards him and exposing her butt. The 26-year-old, she's 26, said, quote, "I can show you new things," and, quote, "I won't tell if you won't. I'm a girl, you know what that means." No, I don't know what that fucking means. You're a disgusting piece of shit. This man apparently had dementia. I don't know what she's thinking. Actually, I saw her and her lawyer, I think it was an interview on CNN, or one of the news stations, and she, was basically saying she was just trying to put a smile on his face and acting all innocent. Like, what are you thinking? First of all, you're at work. You don't just grind on people at work. And this man's 100 years old. It's disturbing. He didn't have a voice, I don't think, that really, if he has dementia, I'm assuming he can't really, make decisions that are, sound. And I don't think that you should be taking advantage of him. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. We knew things like this happened, but to see them actually in the world happening and reading the stories about it, I mean, it is so disgusting. Sick people in this world. And this leads me to the conversation of, it's off topic, but of like police. Like, when did the police, the biggest question that came out during all these police shootings that we saw over the last, year or two, was when did the police become the lawyer, the judge, and the executioner? When did that happen? I mean, I know, I talk to a lot of people who are on both sides of the fence on this argument, and, I'm somewhere in the middle. I respect the police. I know that we need them. They're very necessary in our world, in our lives, in our culture. To be safe, we definitely need the protection. But that does not say that they can't be abusing their powers. Just to, like, we need nursing homes. We need psych wards and places for people that are mentally ill. We need these things. But it doesn't mean that they both don't have people working in these things that take advantage of their jobs. People take advantage of their jobs no matter what they do. You give somebody power, and it substantially raises the opportunity for them to affect somebody's life in a negative way and a positive way. But we're worried about the negative way. We know that there's a positive with the police and with nursing homes and with, psychological centers. But there are still people working in them. What we're worried about are the people taking advantage of these systems, of their jobs, of their careers. I don't like when cops take advantage of their position. A lot of them act like assholes. A lot of them will pull you over and act like an asshole. And a pro-police person will just be like, he's not acting like an asshole. He has to approach your car, with things in mind, like you could be a bad person. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They're protecting our communities. Yeah, well, they don't have to be fucking assholes to people who, to everybody. But, I digress. And the disgusting guy from Waynesville who worked at these nursing homes or elderly care homes, you're fucking disgusting. Like, you're taking advantage of elderly people that can't defend themselves. Even if they could defend themselves, your acts are so disgusting. I mean, that's the word. I can't stop using that word. But this is the world we live in. So, with no matter what, we just have to be careful, because people do take advantage of their positions. We do have bad people in this world. Like it or not, evil exists, and it's disgusting. Getting back to the nursing home, I found a website. I'm not an expert on this stuff. I'm just venting about the whole thing that I'm reading. But there's a nursinghomeabuseguide.org. It has a lot of things on here. Elder abuse, if you have bed sores, injuries, negligence, a lot of resources. Some laws put up on this website. It's an interesting website. If you obviously, know anybody that in your family that's in a nursing home, pay close attention. I would. I mean, I had a time in my life, my grandmother was in a couple nursing homes, I think, for a couple years. And, we, thank God, we had family there pretty much 24/7. I believe my aunts and uncles were there all the time. But even my grandmother, she had bed sores, and they weren't doing enough to help her. And, there were times we felt they were over, putting, things in their IVs or whatever to just keep them quiet and docile. I think that's a worry we have with elderly patients, with psych patients, anybody that needs any medicine that, may not have a voice for themselves at a certain time. We have to worry about those situations. Just reading these things, that they hurt my heart to read them, and I hate it. And I know that, my grandmother was in a hospital, and I loved her so much, and she's a good woman, and she always was. And, just thinking that there could have been some negligence by doctors, or we had people around her all the time. We were blessed to do that. But, there are patients who have no one around them and no voice for them. And are we supposed to trust the system? I mean, the guy in North Carolina had many flags raised and many complaints were given to people, but the nursing home didn't get police involved quick enough, or the prior one didn't, or the one before that didn't. Like, how did the last nursing home not know about the complaints from the first two? how do we not have that background information? Why does that have to be just substantiated? Why can't we still be able to have that visible, so that we know, okay, this guy's had complaints historically on him from nursing homes? Unbelievable. I don't know the answers, guys. I'm just reading the stories and getting disgusted in general. And, this is unfortunately, again, the world we live in. Again, my grandmother did have bed sores, like I said before, and I think, just not being moved properly can cause that. And it could be so painful for somebody and so dangerous in general. There's different stages of them. I was just reading on that website I told you guys about. There are stage 1, 2, all the way up to, I think, 4. Stage 4 bed sores. I mean, it's insane. It's so insane. I don't understand what's going on anymore. I didn't mean to clump police talk, about recent police activity, how there's, not recent, but in the last couple of years, just in general, there's been a lot more in the media, I should say. I don't know if statistically there's been a lot more, but there's been a lot more, police shootings and people shooting at police. I mean, but I don't think it's more. I think it's just up in the media right now. And I didn't mean to mix that with the nursing home thing, but in a sense, it's the same. We expect these people working in police forces, and we expect these people working in healthcare in general, not just elderly patient places, but in general, we expect them, we give them the ability to protect and save our lives. And some people, I think, in them just don't care about the importance of the job or get caught up in life and bullshit and just lose focus. I don't know. But there should be things in our system to continuously watch people in these types of positions that can save or protect our lives in general. And that's what I wanted to get into today. It's not the longest podcast. I mean, I could go on for hours about how disgusting it is and other stories and other complaints, because there's many of them. Even the Get Out review that I did, that movie that we saw, basically the mother in that movie was a psychiatrist, and she hypnotized the main character, and she could make him literally sink into his brain, into a dark hole in his brain. I believe that actually exists out there somewhere. I'm sure that there's psychiatrists that take advantage of patients. I'm sure that happens. I can find a million articles online probably about it. There are people who get into things, and sometimes they're just sick. And that can be anything as small as a janitor at a school. Maybe they're no good or had a history. Not to say that they'll do things again, but maybe I'm sure I'd find a story where somebody did, who had a history, do something again. All the way to teachers, all the way to police, to doctors, whatever. There's a lot of shit in this world. And it's just, reading these stories and understanding personal stories, and you just got to be careful. You got to be very careful out there. And if you are, or if you had somebody in a nursing home, check up on them, make sure that everything's okay. You can't, and these nursing homes shouldn't just write off a complaint because, somebody might not be completely with it, because even if they're with it at that moment that happened and they're telling you, it's something to investigate. It's something to look into, at the least. But again, not to make this, a sad podcast. It's not. It's just these are the stories I was reading. I thought it was interesting to share some of my thoughts on them, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully next time we have a little more fun with the content, and I'm sure we will. I'll probably be releasing another podcast this week with Michaela, and hopefully another one this week or early next week with Carl. And have a good night, everybody.